teach on that. So this is an old painting that I decided I would cover over and do something about. And so this kind of idea works really well to get rid of your old paintings that you're tired of. And, you know, your decor changes, whatever. So I'm going to be covering that one, but I'll be demonstrating on this bigger one that I have here. So this is a 16 by 20. The original was, I think it was 36 by 48 or something. It's on the wall over there. So you can do it any size you want. Okay. So acrylic paints, what are they made of? So I thought this was pretty interesting. Watercolor, which maybe some of you are more familiar with. I don't know, exactly. But watercolor has a pigment, has different pigments, right? And depending on what grade you're interested in, the student grade is different than the artist professional grade. And that goes the same way with acrylic paints. They have the less expensive student chromacryl was more inexpensive, and I'd say the artist loft is too. And these guys flow more. It's more of a liquid acrylic, whereas other times you can get them in a pouch and they squeeze out heavier, and Golden has heavy body acrylics. And so, I mean, there's a whole range of things in both the acrylic paints and the watercolor paints. They always say, buy the ones that you can afford, but the best you can afford, because you'll be giving yourself a gift if you do that. So they both have pigments, right? They both have color. We know that. Okay, so they both have binders. And the binders in the watercolor, you may have heard about gum arabic. And so it holds the pigment. It binds the pigment together. And in the acrylic paints, it's a polymer. So it's quite interesting to research this and learn more about it, and I'd encourage you to do that, because polymers are made up of monomers, but the idea is it's almost like a plastic idea. It's certainly different than what the gum arabic is, but basically you're dealing with water-based paints, and that's always been my main interest. Because of toxic chemicals and all that I don't get along with, I've always wanted water-based paints, and including house paint latex. So yeah, what's the difference? So the acrylic paints that are professional grade have a deeper pigmentation, and they don't have the same chemicals, additives that latex paint has. However, I love to work with anything water-based, right? So when I wanted to paint a painting for our living room, I took some of my household paint and put it together with my other paint, and it tied right in with the wall. And some of you have, you know that because you've been in my living room and you've seen the Kelowna Leaves one that I did, and it blends into the wall. And so that's a really fun kind of thing to do. And I don't know what the manuals would say. I mean, I wouldn't be putting it in a museum or archival kind of quality. So, but I'm just not that kind of an artist. I like to have fun and use everything. And if it's water-based, I'm interested. So, a vehicle. So this is pretty interesting. I don't mean a Mercedes-Benz, but a vehicle is what's going to carry the pigment and the binder. So the reason I'm going into this is because when I do this painting, you're going to see me using water. I'm not using the acrylic mediums. And so there's a lot of mediums you can use. There's gel, there's gloss, there's all these different kinds of mediums. Or you can use water in a ratio that the paint can still travel along with it and not chip off the canvas. So if you, because I'm probably really used to watercolor, it was easy for me to jump into using the water just the same way I would use with the watercolor. But I am aware that if I use too much water, it could cause a problem. So I looked up Liquitex, what did they, and they had a ratio of 25% water to the paint. But then I looked up other ones and it said a 1-to-1 ratio, like 50%. You could go right up to 50%. So these guys are, you know, the ones, they were the first ones, I think, in the 50s when they were developed. So they know what they're talking about. So I don't know. I just kind of pushed the envelope though, and I went with the 1-on-1. And when I'm not sure, okay, is that paint going to stay on the canvas, and I feel kind of concerned about it, that's when I finished the painting with the Krylon fixative. And for those of you who've painted at my house, you probably remember doing this at one point in time. We go outside. I never like to spray it in the house, but just spraying down the canvas after it's been dry for 24 hours at least. You can get it with a sheen. This is a low odor, clear gloss. You can get matte if you like that better. It's really up to you. But I do like to protect the canvas after. So even if it was just a regular acrylic painting like that, I would like to still protect it after. So I'm going to put my white paint on here, and I'm going to just show you how I did this. So you know, there's different things you could, just to cover up the painting and get rid of it. So, you know, the good old whatever this is, you know, the putty knife thing. I want to learn about putting. Anyway, at some point in time, I think I'm going to help learn about mudding and taping. I think that's my winter project, because I'd like to learn now. Anyway, so I'm using this tool, but honestly, I did not use this tool when I was fast and doing this. By the way, this painting, this big painting, took 20 minutes. So that's why this is a heck of a lot of fun. So I like things that go fast because I'm not a real patient person. This is matte board, and honestly, that's what I used on the big canvas. I just dragged this matte board around, and I had texture on the old painting that was in that I did, and so I kind of dragged it here and there so that I would leave maybe some of the dark pieces in there. I didn't cover everything, just added, I don't know, it leaves more interest. And you know, acrylic to me, I think of it as like a plastic film. So it's like it's been layered with other paint, other layers of paint, and it's creating just one plastic film over another. And I don't know, that's the way I think of it. But then I just leave that to dry. And if you want to, you know, do some grattage, I looked up this word, G-R-A-T-T-A-G-E. And it's when you scrape into it and kind of make it have a little bit of texture, stuff like that. You can do that to it too, of course. This one, I didn't do that, but you know, that's always an option depending on your piece. I like to have a small idea of what I'm going to be doing when I start, because then I can kind of know the flow. So in an abstract painting, I've got about 12, what? I've got a question.
Just white acrylic?
Oh, just white acrylic? Yeah, this is just white acrylic. Just covering it up. Yeah, good question. You could use gesso. That would be an option too. But I kind of wanted some of the old painting to shine through. And if I used gesso, it probably would cover it up too well, you know. So I kind of want to use a little bit of that from underneath. Okay then, so what else can I tell you about that? So on the original, I let that dry overnight. So I've done that to this painting now. I put the white, just white paint. I use this and I let it dry because I basically want it dried before I'm going to be working with my color. So what I'm doing is I've created a white surface just like watercolor. You can work on a piece of canvas or you can work on your white paper, that kind of thing. So I've created that white surface. I want those whites, basically. And I've got some sponges here beside me that I'm going to use. And good. All right. Any questions about that? We're set? Okay. All right. Okay, so mixing color. So on a smaller painting, which we have here, I only need like quarter size or something. Okay, here's another question. Yeah?
You can see it.
Oh, I can see it. Do you have to do that with
New canvas.
a new canvas? No. You can use this. Okay, that's a good question. Let me think about that. Because I was using old canvas and covering it up, I think, yes, you do. Because if it's just a gesso canvas, so when you buy a white canvas, it's usually had like a gesso that has covered it. And so that's what fills in. It has chalk, like particles in the gesso, and that goes into the fabric. And so when you buy a canvas, it usually has that done, but it won't necessarily have the slipperiness, I'll say, of white paint. So I wanted it to have that, I guess, properties of what white paint would do in creating that film. So that's why I painted this white canvas, again, with white paint. And I wanted some movement in there. I don't know if that's really noticeable for you to see. I don't know. But I did have some marks in there from this thing, and that makes it just a little more interesting. Okay, so I was talking about, in abstract paintings, there are these different patterns. And I believe there's like, I don't know. Did I count them? There's 10, I'll say. And so in this one, I'm looking for kind of a landscape, and I'm thinking of BC because I actually painted this for my daughter for the salon that we just opened up in the basement. So I wanted to paint it celebrating her and I working together now. And so she loved BC, used to live in BC. So that's where these tall trees come in. So I had this idea, okay, it's going to be like a landscape. And so I don't really draw, I usually don't draw something like that, but for you, I could. Let's see, I'm just seeing over there how that went. So I could just, if you want to give yourself a bit of a line to follow, yeah, I guess I could do it in black. So you'll see it then better. So something like that. And I'm thinking 3/4 that's 3/4 to 1/4. I don't want it exactly 50-50 on a horizon. I want there to be that difference. And yeah, so now I've got a kind of a design line to follow. And I like, this one is very, very common. I really like this line to do with flowers, yeah, landscapes, that kind of thing. So I do kind of gravitate towards it. So anyway, what are my tools here? So I have a water mister. I have a plastic knife. I like the little triangle one. Artist Emporium. This is all Artist Emporium. I've got a butcher tray, which is something from a garage sale, which was awesome. But a piece of plastic of some kind. I've used plastic lids, just something that you can throw away after. That's all good. And just to keep my colors a little bit moist, I'll give them a little spritz, just like you would the watercolor pans. You know, we wet them up a little bit. And then I'm using sponge. I might use this sponge, I don't know. So I've got these old sponges, and that's all I'm going to use. I'll use these tools, and that's it. You don't see any brushes here, because I don't need them. So that's the way that goes. So, okay, and in terms of color, I think teaching classes really focused me on keeping things simple. So my primary colors, and I've got a cool red here. Cool red has less yellow in it. It's more of on the blue side of things. So it's closer to the blues than it is to the yellows on the color wheel. So it's going to mix very nice for purples and that kind of thing, but also with my peachy tone. And so peach is a really interesting color to mix. It takes a little bit of thought and a little bit of practice. So, but you can start it out with your little bit of cool red, little bit of the yellow, and I'm going to get my white going in there. And, you know, practice really is what gets you going with this kind of stuff. Just practicing and, yeah, playing around. And I guess that's playing around with paint. Yeah, I don't know if anybody caught that joke, but I did. Anyway, anyway, my technicians did. So I'm going to get a little bit more. I can see it's a flesh tone. That's not really what I want. I want more pink, and that's a little bit too strong red. So I'll take a little bit of that red over to here, because I can see, okay, I want something more peachy toned. So you can, I hope you can see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, good, okay. Otherwise I'm talking to the wind here. Okay, so there we go. All right, it's showing up good. You're getting the idea. I think that's pretty close. And honestly, my daughter gave me the idea for these colors because there was a pillow she really liked, and and it was something on Pinterest or whatever. And so I kind of go with what people want. So when you're doing a painting for someone else, a commission, that kind of thing, boy, it's really helpful to get them to go, say, to Pinterest, just to get those colors that's popular, that they like, that kind of thing. Then they're going to be happier. At least we hope they are. Yeah, commissions are, they can be a little stressful. So what I do with commissions is I usually do 3 small ones and give them kind of the idea of the different choices, and then go big. And this one actually I put up for sale, much to my daughter's chagrin. But I told her that I would paint her another one. So if you're interested, it's up there on the site. So, and it's sylviarussell.com. We're actually getting pretty organized with things around here. So that's what 6 months off of work does. I don't know. We've been working all along trying to transition through things, and that's what we spent our time with, trying to get this ready for you guys, and we can have some fun. So I've wetted down, and in watercolor you'd know that as wet on wet. And I'm gonna get one of my sponges going on here, and I'm thinking just sky, and yeah, that's really all I'm trying to do, is get a piece of sky going on. I do want some of that white too, and I'll vary it. So I've got that going on, but I kind of like a little more of the pink, and skies are generally, they go lighter as you go to the horizon, so okay, I'll go with more color at the top. And then I can go with lighter at the bottom. There's less on my sponge, so I can come in through here. Oops, grab some, oh that's good, there'll be some gray in there. yeah, you know, whenever things don't go exactly as planned, that's okay. You kind of just go with what the ideas that the painting almost comes up with. So I'm going to grab some white now into that and kind of sweep through that, and it'll make a nice difference. And this is sliding on really nicely because I prepared that surface with white paint. And, you know, white, the same rules kind of apply in terms of composition with when I've been teaching about watercolor is I'll try and keep 2/3 white. No, 1/3 white to 2/3 color. That's what this one will be. You could do the opposite, but anyway, that's what this one will be. Well, now I've got blue on my cord. Oh, well. Oh, boy.
You can take it off if you want.
I sure will. There, that's good. All right. I haven't painted with a cord in my ear before.
You can take them out.
Yeah? Oh, I can keep them out. Okay, good.
I'll let you know.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. Alrighty, so how's this going? Not bad. Okay, so what else is going to happen in this painting? I'm going to have some blues in there. So I'm going to grab up, this is a clean knife. I'm going to get I want a blue with more yellow in it. I don't want green, but which blue and yellow make green. So I want more blue, so I'm going to add more blue. So, you know, quite often I'll be talking to myself when I'm painting about, you know, oh, that's too much green. I want more blue. And I just kind of keep a conversation going with what I want. Maybe that's why I teach, because I'm talking to myself all the time anyway. So anyway, oh my goodness, that's funny. So a little bit of this, I want more of that aqua tone. And that's just because I like it. You know, you could make it any colors you wanted. But I'm just giving you an idea of what I do. So I add a little bit of water as I go.
Like your tray, just push it up a little bit.
Okay, sure. Okay. For water, I've got a 3 water container, so it kind of stays cleaner as I go. And I do clean my knife in between, you know. I take it off on the sponge usually when I'm going to be changing. Like I wouldn't want blue in the pink or pink in the blue. So I clean it off in between when I'm changing from the warms to the cools. Yeah. So I actually want more water. And I'm going to just spritz this again. Because I want it to have that runny watercolor effect, right? So, okay. I keep looking over there because I'm looking at the original painting over on the other wall. Just kind of funny. All right. So I could do it with a sponge, or I could do it with my knife. And just starting it out, I really wasn't thinking much actually when I did this. I don't know, it was a Sunday morning and I was just moving fast. That's all I remember. And so I'm going to get some of those darker blues going in here. But I wanted to kind of carry along. So I've put this is where I want it to run some more. Boy, I'm going to hold it up and let gravity help me a bit here. Yeah. So I'm really using quite a bit of water at this point. Going to add some more paint. Like we said, you can up to 50% water. And then I'm going to tip it this way too. And as you're developing it, you know, it could change into something else. So, you know, I think it's really good for you to see that it's not exactly like the original. Well, no, because maybe it's going to declare something else. So I'm just going to take my my knife. And you know, I really didn't have a real plan in mind except for this line here. So it could be trees in the background, could be turned into birch trees. I don't know. But that's what's so fun about painting this way, is that, you know, you don't know where it's going to go. So, yeah. You have a general idea. This is drying out. I don't know. I'll have to tip this so you can kind of see it better. But I'm just going to get it going with this. And this is just the first layer, you know, so you don't have to have, it's better not to get too wound up about it. You know, sometimes there's a bit of, it takes a bit of faith, you know, to paint because you don't know exactly how it's going to go, and gee whiz, life is like that, right? So, yeah, faith in life, we need it. So I've got some of the blues happening, and I want to change it a bit. Yeah, right. Right. All right. I got to stay grounded here so you can see what I'm doing. There's a lot of tipping and turning. It's, you know, the wet on wet idea. That's basically what we're doing. And letting it pick up its own life. I honestly love working wet on wet with acrylic, and I've really never had a problem with paint coming off. I really never have. So I don't know. I guess it just kind of works for me. I don't know. I'm going to put in some more. I'm using sponge. I'm using my knife. I'm using all sorts of different things. Coming through the black, I'm starting to get some gray. I need some more white paint. Actually, I just feel like putting some white paint on here to help me out too. Okay. So that original line is turning into a nice gray. And putting a bit of gold in, I don't know, that seems to be a decor friendly thing to do right now. I don't know, it goes through phases, you know. It'll be popular for a while and then be something else. Okay. Does anybody have any comments to make, or? I did? Oh. Okay, that's fine. I want some more white in here. All right. So again, I'm just going to mix up more of that kind of aqua blue.
Sylvia, can you lift your painting to the top of the screen?
Can you lift the painting to the top of the screen?
Yep. Up there. There's that.
Way up there. Thank you.
Mixing paint is kind of meditative. I don't know, the Chinese people apparently, when they're mixing up those pigments a long time ago, considered it a real integral part of the process of enjoying painting, was grinding their own pigments and from minerals, and sometimes we don't take enough time to just enjoy the mixing of colors. It can be therapeutic in itself. Okay, so I'm going to get this going on. And, you know, it's very interesting that we change every day, you know. Who I was a month ago when I painted that painting, I'm a different person already. And so it just, things never, it's like having a different golf game, I guess, for anybody who golfs. I actually don't, but I don't know. It's how we change. And so basically all I'm thinking about is just playing with color, getting it to spread. And this is only one layer. One layer on top of another layer, building layers. So this is the effect I'm wanting when it starts to run and it has enough color on its own. But when it starts to get grainy like that, I'll probably move and help that along in there because I don't want a lot of grainy stuff. I want it to just flow. And so I've got more yellow greens happening here. I'm going to put in some more blue. And this is using more paint than I anticipated. So maybe a quarter size, it would be more than that. So I still got those little bits of pink. I want that. And if you want, you know, if you think of this as just background trees in a way, background forest feel against the sky, that's kind of where I'm going with it. I gotta get some more water here. Okay. More water. All right. All right, so I want it to keep dripping. I'm going to give it a little more through here. I might even come in with more of that pink just to bring it back a bit.
You got a question here from Deb.
Uh-huh. What's her question?
What percentage white will be left in the picture?
Well, we're hoping for a third, but I don't know. That's all I can hope for. Why are you holding that up?
I'm scratching my under.
Uh-huh. Okay, so yellow. I'm gonna put, I still want that peachy tone, so that's when I go in more with my, can you see my tray? Yeah, that's better. Need some more of that white. I really like that one better, but I'll put a piece of that in there. When I got a different color going in, I want to tie it in other places. So I've got a large space here. I'll get a small space with that. And kind of drip it off again. Nice. I like the different, I don't know, I just like the way it's blending here. Okay. I'm getting close to putting the black in. So I'm not crazy over that right there with my line that I got in. So I think I'm going to do something with the black. So, and I want to get the gold in too. So black really dominates once you put it in. So I think I'm going to start over in this. I'd like to talk about the golden ratio. So I don't know how many of you have heard of this, but a simple way to think about it is 2/3 to 1/3. And so I would put, probably in this painting, what I did was I put the focal point right in here with the gold and the trees in there. So if I know I'm doing that, now that I think about it, I would also like some more of the pink in that area then too, because it'll show up with that. Yeah. So there is some composition involved in things, which you kind of learn as you go along. But I'm not trying to teach a lot on composition, but just it's good to see for you to see it plugged into an abstract, you know, even those small compositional ideas, it can help. Just like the 2/3 color to 1/3 white and the golden ratio. That's a good kind of thing to look up and see what that's about. It's a very interesting concept. My son actually got me involved with that golden ratio understanding. Now I've got something interesting happening here. It looks like the paint is peeling off in this area. So that is from, I guess, the underlaying paint that I put on, and I never had that problem in the other one. So beats me why that's happening here, but I'm going to pull it out of there because I don't want it. And I'm going to put, so, and I guess accepting that it's going to have some different texture involved with it, I think that's going to happen where I didn't have that before. So the thing about painting is it's always unpredictable. So I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to make that into texture that I want. So I'm going to use, actually I think I'm going to go right in with the black and use it to my advantage. So it's really good for you to see how things are handled when things don't turn out just perfectly, because often they don't. Okay, I'm going to kind of aim for those trees with my knife. Love this for the knife. It really works nicely. And I like that white against the dark. So I'm going to come in here. This is approximately where I want that golden ratio. So I'm going to bring it in. So I've got 1, 2, okay. Honestly, it's getting a little tight. You know that? It's getting a little prescribed, and I don't want it to be prescribed. So I'm going to give it some water. Whenever it gets a little stiff, I'm going to give it some water and let it just take it away a bit, because that's really the advantage of this painting, is keeping it loose. Probably doesn't need much more than that. Maybe just a tip, and maybe just a bit of a trunk here and there. Otherwise it gets too prescribed. It's easy to get tight, isn't it, with a painting? It's very easy. Okay, so I like how this is going here. I'm going to put in here. Often I kind of think in terms odd numbers, like so 3, 5, 7. I'll just nail this in here. Now, I think it's time to put in a bit of the way I did the ground here, and I'm thinking I would like I want some dark corners so it'll shoot up the interest into this area. So I'm going to put in some black in here. And I'm going to wet it up a bit so it again is going to run a bit for me. And my trees might run too, which would be okay. And I'm going to just follow that in there. I hope this gives you a jump start into, like Kay was looking for, a fresh jump start into painting for the fall. I don't know, painting gets me through the winter, so it helps so much. And actually it gets me through all the seasons a lot. I can't say that it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to put some into this corner too. And I think I'm going to drag it around in here a bit. And this is where you start thinking, okay, how about a little, what will take that viewer in from this side and go into here? This is where I want them to go. So actually, this wasn't a great idea to go with that. I want it to be clear. So I want them to come in and I want them to go up. It's kind of, it's a zigzag approach that I want them to land here. That's where I want them to go. So I don't want to cut them off over here. I think I'll just bring in some more color in through this and take it out. So I'm wanting that changed in there. I don't want them to go in that direction. I want to open it up. So I'm going to open this up a bit so they can get through there easily, more easily. The black really it's good to look, I don't know how, it's good to use the black in compositional piece so that, you know, I'm wanting them to land here. So I don't want to put too much in here. They're not going to land there. So that's better. And then because it's a little stiff, again, that's where I'm going to bring that water. And maybe it'll move around. There's a lot of moving around with this one. I get really close to it. If I want it to, I get really close in with my spray. I did another painting, very, very interestingly. I think some of you came to the class too. It was Peace on the Beach. So Peace on the Beach it's the same, it's using the same technique, but it's doing water. And that's a very interesting one too, how it drips and drools and all that kind of stuff. Actually, it was my daughter-in-law, Bailey, who introduced me to that. She saw something she liked and she wanted to try it, and we came up with a whole different thing. And that's why, you know, you can, it's kind of a jumping jump board, or, you know, diving board place to jump into something. You can see ideas and what people are doing. You're not copying, but you can use it as a jumping off point, just the way you're watching me tonight. Hopefully it'll give you an idea of, oh, gee, I'd like to try this, this, and this. And I have ideas from being out all summer. I'd like to try this, this, and with that technique. So that's what I was hoping tonight would offer you. And but I'm getting a lot of interesting stuff here that I'll tell you I did not have on that original. So I don't know. I guess it's the kind of paints that were put together. So you may get that too, where it's kind of a skinning kind of thing, and it would definitely need to dry and be sprayed to hold that on, because I never had that on the other one. So I don't know. What I'm going to do, we're down to the last 10 minutes here, and I would like to leave time to for any questions you might have, but I'm going to put this gold in where I want that to go. So that's going to be the point of interest. Actually, it kind of helps to see this in the monitor. You know, an interesting thing to do with your paintings is to hold it up to a mirror and take a look at it. And you get a whole different feel when you do that. And I'm getting that effect when I look at the monitor here. Kind of helps me see things. All right, so I think I would still like to open this up so it has more room to move. I am going to do that. Pretty messy. Make sure you got a nice plastic tablecloth on here. But it's very interesting too. Okay. Well, it's an experience. I hope you get to try some of it yourself. What percentage white will be? Okay, I got that one. And what are you saying back there?
Do you want me to open up everybody?
Yeah, why don't you open up that classroom and...
Yeah, Kay's got a question.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Kay. Oh.
It's more comment. It's interesting to see how it changed. Initially, those trees were going away from us, and now they're coming towards me on the left, and then your lighter fadeaway is on the right. That's changed up so much.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you do, because I had no idea which way it was going to go. So I think learning what makes the process work is what's important to me, is that I'm relaying the understanding of what I'm thinking as things go along. So good. It has a nice feel here where it's open.
Yeah.
And that I wanted to keep those whites to allow that. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a complicated painting to be a success. Yeah. Anybody else have a comment they're interested in talking about?
Sylvia, I wasn't able to be at the very start of your painting, and I understand this is done over an older painting. And
yeah, I actually, the original I did was done over an old painting. So if you have old paintings like from paint nights or whatever that you're tired of, that's a really good way to, kind of change things up.
What color or what kind of white paint did you use?
I just used this Artist Loft from Michaels, the white Artist Loft stuff.
It doesn't have to be gesso.
I didn't use gesso because I wanted the paint to be able to flow over, and when you put white paint down, it helps it to just flow. But I'm telling you, this reacted differently than my other one did, and because I got this skin kind of happening, and honestly, that did not happen on the other one. So I'm not sure. Maybe it was too much water. I'm not sure. I really don't know, folks. Such is the artist's life.
It's the dreaminess of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So anyone else? It
was interesting to hear the process you go through, like with the 2/3 and 1/3, and just the whole process was very interesting.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be long, right? I think I started into this painting at around 10 after 8 or something like that. So it's not a long process. It's, 20 minutes, something like that. So I think that's a freeing concept. When keeping your colors simple, just the 3 primaries, your black, your white, your gold, and learning how to mix the colors. That's just keeping it simple like that helps you with your learning to be encouraged. It's not complicated. It's just keep it simple. The KISS thing.
I like how the gold accentuates the picture or the painting as well.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah,
brings it
it's
out.
fun to
Draws
use,
you in.
I've also just done one with water, with gold and pinks and grays, and really nice watching the gold come in on the water.
Have you ever done silver?
I honestly haven't, but that could be great. You know, anything's possible, right?
So could you use, I've got a metallic gold water paint, so could I use that for the gold?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a designer's gouache that's a gold watercolor. I would say that could be used. It won't have as dramatic effect because it doesn't have the same body to it. So you just have to play around on a piece of paper and see, is this going to work, you know, with the acrylic? That's what I would do. White acrylic and watercolor can be joined together. And matter of fact, I did a mural with that because I was in a place where there were no other paint supplies. And all she had was white acrylic paint. And all I had was a 10-color student watercolor set. And so we put it together and we got a mural on the side of her shed. So, you know, I mean, anything can happen if you're willing to try, I guess.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think we're down to the last few minutes here. And I just want to say, wow, thanks for joining me on and having the courage to try the Zoom. And I'm hoping it's the beginning of many other things in the future. And big thank you to my husband and son, Greg and James, for making it possible, because I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for them. And yeah, I wanted to actually dedicate this session to someone who celebrated life in a big way with us, and he passed away this month. So actually 2 people very dear to me did. So my brother-in-law Al and Byron Cook, who is a very close family friend. We wanted to dedicate this to both of them, celebrating life. And yeah, that's when we still get to enjoy the colors and all that. Let's just think about how wonderful it is we get to celebrate life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to let you all go at this point. And man, if you do something and it turns your crank and you want to share it with me with this approach, I'd love to see any of your work. You want to email it to me? I'm at sylviarussell.com with the upcoming classes. And we're going to do 4 nights of acrylics coming up. I think it's like late October, somewhere in there. But it's on there and you'll see just some more ideas with acrylics and trying things out, and maybe they'll work, maybe they won't. I don't know, but as long as it's fun in the trying, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you so much.
Oh yes. Oh, you're so welcome. And this is recorded, so we'll make that available and on the site is my guess as well.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. There's a quote, Sylvia. I think this is by Shanti. At the end of the day, your feet should be dirty, your hair should be messy, and your eyes sparkling.
Oh. Love it. Love it. So great. I agree so much. That's why my hands are like this now. Okay. All the best to all of you. I'll look forward to meeting with you again.
You as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Wow, yeah, the runs.
Okay, so you're muted now.
Oh, good. Thanks. Oh man, I'm glad you guys are here.
Thanks.
Glad you were here.